Oh, hey there. I am just eating some of my breakfast right now, and I'm excited to tell you about what I ate for breakfast later. I'll do that at the end of the video. But for right now, I want to dive into all things related to fiber. I'm Dr. Michael Smith. I'm a naturopathic doctor based in Missoula, Montana, and I am excited to share with you in this video things that you need to know about fiber, where you can find it, why you need it, and how to get more of it in your life. As we get going, let's talk about what is fiber. Fiber is really a collection of sugar molecules attached end to end. Now, if you're ever curious about micro or macronutrients, there is a really good website from the Linus Pauling Institute. Linus Pauling was the guy who discovered vitamin C. He did a lot of research at Oregon State University, and on their website, the Linus Pauling Institute, they have a ton of information about a bunch of macro and micronutrients, everything from fiber, that we're going to talk about today, to vitamin C and vitamin D and minerals and zinc and iron and so much things like that. I'll put the link to that website down below so you can check it out. I got this picture from that website, and as you can see, there are different types of sugars, different types of fibers. There's amylase, there's cellulase, and beta-glucan. And I'm not going to dive in too much to the details, but what you can see is that they are connected. These are sugar molecules, that C6H12O6 that we learned in biology class way back when. Yeah, that's coming back up. All of these sugar molecules are attached to each other, but in different ways. And then what our body does is it goes in and it breaks those sugars, oftentimes to allow us to have energy. We use glucose in so many aspects of our lives, and we need that fiber to help in some ways provide that. We'll dive into a little bit more what fiber does and what fiber doesn't do. But let's just compare, for example, amylose and cellulose. These two right here. Amylose and cellulose, they both are sugar molecules connected end to end, but that looks differently. And that's going to be more details than I want to talk about. That's for more of your organic chemistry class. But our body has enzymes called amylase enzymes that help to break down these type of bonds from the sugars. However, our body doesn't do really great breaking down cellulose. Cellulose is the type of fiber found in plants. Now, why does that matter? We need lots of different types of fiber. And today I'm going to talk about two main types of fiber. One is called soluble fiber, and one is called insoluble fiber. Now, the way that I like to basically define soluble versus insoluble fiber is that soluble fiber is like a sponge. Soluble fiber absorbs water. It's water soluble. So when we have fibers come in contact with water, it acts as a big sponge. It acts as a sponge to lots of other things too. We'll dive into that in a little bit. Insoluble fiber, on the other hand, acts kind of more like, I was thinking a bulldozer. I couldn't find a bulldozer to train a toy, but it acts to help push things forward, to keep things moving along the right direction. So we've got a sponge and we've got a bulldozer, truck, train, just to keep things moving. We want to keep things moving. And we can look at what these types of soluble and insoluble fibers are and what they do. First, soluble fibers. Soluble fibers are found in many things like fruits and other types of barley, legumes, oats, and other such foods. I think I like my favorite examples of soluble fiber is chia seeds. Now, this is a jar of dry chia seeds, as you can kind of see. These are chia seeds that I use and I eat on a regular basis. Now, I added a little bit of water to this, and as you can see, these are all sticking together, and I can, you can see there, it forms kind of a gel-like thing around the chia seeds. There's a really great video that I found on YouTube that I really like, and I will share a link of it. It's a microscopic zooming in on chia seeds, and as it zooms in, you're able to see the view of what chia seeds look like under the microscope. And then when they add water to it, you start to see this gel kind of appear around it. That is the soluble fiber that's coming out and forming that gel. Again, gel acts like a sponge. It absorbs water. Now, chia seeds also have insoluble fiber. I think the number is about 85% insoluble and about 15% soluble. But I still like it because it's very visible. If you have had chia seed pudding or put chia seeds in something. Another really good example is oats. Oatmeal is really good with soluble fiber. It absorbs water. Just like, as you know, if you've ever cooked oatmeal, you know that when you put water with dried quick oats or rolled oats or just oats generally, you're going to be able to make oatmeal. That's the mush. It has fiber in it. Now, again, soluble and insoluble fiber in both of these, but it has but the idea is that these absorb water. And insoluble fiber, on the other hand, is found more in vegetables and grains like wheat. So when you think about, we talked about cellulose and how there's these linkages of sugar molecules. Our body just can't break down sugar, the cellulose. Other animals' stomachs can do that. We are not able to do that. So that's why it's insoluble. And oftentimes this plant matter, they think about anything from salad to spinach to wheat, cracked wheat, things like that. It's going to help push things through, like this truck, help keep things moving along the track that they're supposed to go down. When we think about fiber, we need to help our food get from our mouth through our digestive tract, and then whatever's left over is we let go of into the toilet. And we need that ability to keep things moving and also absorb what we need to. Fiber does a couple things with our stools, our bowel movements. Number one, it adds volume. By absorbing water, it allows our stool to be bigger, and we want that. It helps keep things moving, just the size of it. Because if you think about moving something along this path, I'm doing this motion because that's what the intestines are doing. It's kind of squeezing, and if there's more to squeeze, it's easier to push through. If there's just a little bit, then our body has a hard time just kind of moving the stool along the path that it needs to. That is what this insoluble and soluble fiber does. It adds volume. The next thing it does is it helps keep things moving. And it keeps things moving by pushing it through. And oftentimes if we have somebody with diarrhea, adding some fiber can be really helpful because it slows down, it absorbs the water that's being released in that diarrhea stool and makes it a little more firm. We need a balance, but overall, that's what fiber is doing. And what we see is that when we don't have enough fiber, that can lead to more of a constipation type picture where the body is not able to get rid of its stool as easily, so it holds on to it. It's harder to go, and we're not able to keep things going. That can lead to symptoms like diverticulitis or diverticulosis. It can lead to hemorrhoids, and it can also lead to things like varicose veins because of the pressure that our abdomen is putting when we are trying to evacuate that stool. We're trying to poop. We're trying to let go of that stool. We're adding more pressure. We're squeezing our abs, and that's going to cause pressure elsewhere in our body, including possibly in our veins, in our legs. So we see that fiber actually plays a role in lots of different aspects of things that we do. When would we want to think about fiber? Several different things, and I'm excited to talk about that a little bit more. Number one is fiber is the number one thing that I think about for individuals with high cholesterol. Let's talk about why. Number one, we talked about the sponge. How fiber, specifically insoluble fiber, acts like a sponge. It sponges up water. It also sponges up cholesterol. And we want to be able to have that cholesterol go through our body and obviously try not to absorb it as much. This is where we get the idea of something called enterohepatic circulation. Entero meaning our gut, hepatic meaning our liver, and circulation meaning the cycle of all of that. So here is a picture of that. Here we have starting with our liver, and our liver is where our cholesterol is processed. It comes out in the form of bile. Bile is stored in the gallbladder temporarily before it's released into the intestines. And we want our intestines to be able to move things through. Now, ultimately, downstream, this happens up kind of right after the food leaves the stomach, which is right up here. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of intestine between here and later down in the pipe. But the cholesterol and that bile can actually be reabsorbed into capillaries and blood vessels that are surrounding the intestine. And that takes it through the hepatic portal vein all the way back into the liver. This is called enterohepatic circulation. Our body literally wants to keep as much cholesterol as it can. So the fiber, it does two things to help prevent that. Number one, it helps absorb it. So we have this sponge that's going down in the intestine. It's absorbing the cholesterol that's going down through the intestine. Number two, it's pushing it through. It's keeping things going. It's that little truck that's just pushing things through. I guess it's the other way around. You get the idea, though. Pushing it through so it doesn't have as much time to be reabsorbed into the capillaries and then through the hepatic portal vein. So one of the number one things I recommend, as I mentioned, for people with high cholesterol is to eat more fiber. We often think about the Mediterranean diet, and I have another video that will talk all about that. But one of the features of the Mediterranean diet, you guessed it, is fiber. Fiber is part of the Mediterranean diet. There's whole foods, whole fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, whole grains, all of these things that are designed to help keep our body, our GI system regular, help us to get food in and get food out and not linger longer than we need it to. That's the really cool thing about cholesterol. When we're trying to manage it, fiber is one of those things. Now, you might recall that on the box of Cheerios, sometimes you'll see that it's like endorsed by the American Heart Association. And that is because cholesterol can be increased with high cholesterol can be lowered as we eat fiber. Fiber comes from, as we mentioned, oats. Oat flour is used to make Cheerios. So by eating Cheerios or oats, that helps provide a amount of fiber. I would say, nominal amount of fiber, but it is still fiber. And that's why there's this association with Cheerios and heart disease. This is not an endorsement, nor is it sponsored by General Mills, who makes Cheerios. Using that as an example. When we talk about fiber, I also think about blood sugar. Now, when we eat fibrous foods first in our diet, that allows them to get moving and through our stomach into our intestines first, before anything else hits. And then when it's there, we're able to better slow down the absorption of sugar from our gut, from our intestines, into our bloodstream. So one idea that I like to tell patients about comes from this book called Glucose Revolution by Jessie and Shospe, otherwise known as the Glucose Goddess. I'll send a link to her website down below. This is a great book, and it talks about eating foods in the right order, specifically related to blood sugar management. And when we eat foods in the right order, we are able to have fiber first, and then have fat and protein second. That's going to slow down the emptying of our stomach into our intestines. And then when it does that, when we eat sugar last, it's A, going to leave our stomach slower, and B, going to go into our intestines slower as well. And then when it's in our intestines, it's going to be absorbed, like all sugar is, into our bloodstream more slowly, which leads to a slower and more gradual blood sugar spike. So it doesn't spike. It just is a little hill. We don't want mountains. We want hills. And it's going to allow for better blood sugar control, which is really cool. When we eat fiber, it's also going to help with slowing down the emptying of our stomach and cause us to be more full. So we don't need as much food to eat and to stay healthy. We talked about enterohepatic circulation. And one of the really cool things is that other hormones also go through enterohepatic circulation. So hormones are fat soluble. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, all of those are derived from cholesterol. And cholesterol is absorbed, as we talked about, with the sponge. And when we have cholesterol-like hormones going through the gut, it's also going to be reabsorbed. So interestingly, more fiber can also lead to decreased hormone concentrations of estrogen in women. That's some research that's been found. Fiber also can help with binding toxins in the gut. We think about things that are not happy and healthy. Our world is full of chemicals and many other things that can disrupt our well-being. And when we eat something that's not great, fiber can help absorb it and get it out of our system. And those are the two things that it can do pretty well. So we think about toxins. Now, there's a lot of discussions about fiber. We talked about the types of fiber. We've talked about why fiber might be beneficial for certain health conditions. And I'm really just skimming the surface. There's been studies that have looked at correlations with fiber intake and blood pressure, helping lower blood pressure, also with some anti-cancer benefits as well. I'm not going to go into that right now, but there's a lot of benefits that fiber has. Now, how can we get more fiber? And what do we need to be thinking about while we're eating fiber? When there are different recommendations of how much fiber to take. The purpose of this video is not to dive into that, but the Linus Pauling Institute does have some information about recommended daily allowances and things like that. That it's always best to talk with your doctor or naturopathic physician like myself who can kind of guide you in how much fiber you personally need, because it's different for men and women, it's different for different ages. And given your different health conditions, some people might need more or less fiber. We do need to be careful about nutrient absorption. As we talked about, it can absorb lots of things and help it get out. So we need to be careful when we take our supplements that we don't take fiber maybe too close to those supplements, because it could affect absorption. It can also affect absorption of drugs, like levothyroxine is one of them. Levothyroxine or Synthroid is the common medication used to treat hypothyroidism or low thyroid levels. So we're thinking about that as well. Too much fiber for some people can be a challenge. So I think about a condition called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. SIBO is when the bacteria that we have a lot of in our gut gets to be too high of levels. What feeds the bacteria? Fiber. And that's why often we think about when we're suspecting somebody with SIBO, and I often think about that. It's on my list of differential diagnoses for somebody with extreme bloating, especially in the upper part of their chest, or abdomen, upper part of their abdomen, right above their belly button. I think about that. I think about the need to limit fiber, because I have some patients that I've seen. I remember one patient in particular, an elderly lady who could not handle salads at all. She couldn't do salads. And when she ate salads, she felt horrible. She felt bloated and gassy and uncomfortable and everything. The meat diet, kind of a carnivore-based diet, was great for her, but could not handle fiber. It's because that fiber is feeding that bacteria that's overgrown and affects the absorption. So the low FODMAP diet, and some of those include fermentable oligosaccharide, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and so forth. We limit that amount of fiber in the diet so we don't feed the bacteria that is causing bloating. It's a really significant thing for some people. So when you think about fiber, it is good. We need it. We need a good amount of it, and most Americans don't get enough. We eat processed foods. We eat where foods where the fiber is taken out of. And if we take the fiber out of foods, we don't get the benefit of the fiber that we really need to keep us regular and everything else. And that can be a challenge. So, how do I get my fiber every day? As I mentioned, I was eating my breakfast, and what I eat a good number of days of the week, not every day, but many days, is a cereal made with quinoa. And I usually make several of these meals all at once on Sunday night in preparation for for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is when I usually have these, and because that's just how my schedule works out the best. So what I do is I pre-cook some quinoa, and I put it separate out in containers. I put protein powder, and I put some cinnamon and other spices, and walnuts and sunflower seeds and flaxseed if I have some, raisins if I have some. And I prepare these ahead of time. I do everything except the blueberries and milk. Put them in the fridge in the morning, put the frozen blueberries in, put some milk in, microwave it just for a minute and a half, stir it up, and I get my cereal. And it's really nutritious, really healthy. One thing I really like about it is that it's really nutritious. It has lots of different macronutrients. I get the protein from quinoa and protein also from the protein powder. The nuts and seeds provide a really good source of fat and healthy protein. From a fiber perspective, I'm able to get about 13 grams of fiber from this entire meal. This is all approximate based on some calculations I did with a nutrition app. Able to get a decent amount of minerals and other nutrients that I need, and it's nutritious and I enjoy it. And I love the source of fiber that it provides me. Helps keep me regular, and I've noticed that when I don't eat that kind of food as often, I lose that ability to get and stay regular. We've talked about a lot of things today. We talked about what fiber is, why we need it, what foods have it, how we can get more of it and optimize that need for our health. And I've talked about what I eat as a naturopathic doctor for breakfast. I hope this has been helpful. There's so many things that we need to know, just basic health, nutrition information that can really guide us and strengthen us as we pursue our health journeys. Everyone's on a different journey and we all need different things. And what you need is probably different than what maybe a family member or a neighbor or a friend needs. And that's okay. And that's why we have guides like myself to help patients along their path. So if you or somebody that you know could benefit from the help that a naturopathic doctor like myself can provide, reach out. Go send them to naturopathic.org, which is the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians. Encourage them to go to find a naturopathic doctor. Reach out to me through my clinic, Natura Health and Wellness Clinic, and we can help guide you on your journey. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know what other topics you are interested in learning about, and we'll get to those soon. Until next time, have a great day and be well.